Can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that, because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country.
Not sure if Trump thought he successfully dodged that question about childcare costs, or if he really thought tariffs were the answer. Either way, that trustee from the Economic Club of New York wasn't impressed.
I don't know if you watched the debate in June, but I tried 3 times to get him to answer that question. You tried a 4th. Did you get anything out of that?
Kind of. I may have gotten a little bit more than you did, because he did answer the question. And what he told us was that childcare expenses are no big deal. The fact that you're drowning in debt because of them, sorry, but not sorry. And he also told us that, no, I don't have any ideas or a proposal or legislation. And it's insulting. And it's insulting to parents who are constantly having to choose between funding their daycare and feeding their kids. And the thing is like, if you don't have a plan to solve childcare, you are not fit to be president.
Reshma Saujani wasn't the only person from the business community that isn't shy about rejecting Donald Trump's candidacy, though.
So this is a group of 88 current and former CEOs from across the private sector. They're out with a letter this morning laying out support for Harris, saying she would be the best candidate for the business community. So this is a wide-ranging group of signatures. It includes Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz and former Pepsi CEO Indra Nooyi, as well as the current CEOs of Box and Yelp. That's Aaron Levy and Jeremy Stoppelman. James Murdoch is also included here. He's a Democratic donor, but not someone who had previously endorsed Harris. There's also Chris Larson. He co-founded the crypto firm Ripple. Now, the list also includes some people with ties to Wall Street. That includes Tony James, the former president of Blackstone, and a substantial number of former public company CEOs. That's Dan Schulman of PayPal, Alan Mulally of Ford. He's actually someone who was once considered to be Secretary of State under Trump. Now, their letter highlights Harris's election as, quote, the best way to support the continued strength, security, and reliability of our democracy and economy. It goes on to say that with Harris, quote, the business community can be confident it will have a president who wants American industries to thrive.
In other words, a dictatorship is bad for business. So even though this laundry list of CEOs that couldn't give a damn about regular Americans' ability to climb the economic ladder, they understand that completely dismantling our economy for the sake of Donald Trump will hurt them too. Weird that autocrats are enemies of everyone except for themselves.
This is a very different moment in time. And the same way I've said the military has to act differently, the news media has to act differently, the clergy has to act differently, and CEOs, there is a call to action. They are some of the leaders in our world, and our world will not be as we know it, as we've come used to it, and as we take it for granted if Donald Trump is elected. So I think CEOs do have to step out of their comfort zone. Yes, they have to look at their shareholder value, but they have to look at the U.S. value also. And the corporation that is the USA will be damaged in many, many, many ways if Donald Trump is the president.
Yeah, it probably won't be long before Trump comes out talking about how these CEOs are a bunch of commie socialists and Marxists. Are MAGA supporters paying attention to the vast variety of people that have come out in opposition to this dream to mold the country in his image? They've joined him in hating every former Republican administration official that warns about him. They're on board with the praise for foreign dictators like Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Viktor Orban. What reason do they have left for these rich folks coming out against him that use the system to grow their wealth too?
I think he speaks from a place of credibility that Donald Trump or J.D. Vance would never have. And I think he can be somebody who will compare and contrast what they have done for workers versus what Donald Trump and his administration both has done when he was in the White House for 4 years, and what he will continue to do if he gets another 4 years in office, which is he was the most anti-worker president that we've ever had. He sides with the billionaire CEOs and corporations, talked lovingly to Elon Musk about how great it was that he could fire workers on a whim, talk to his billionaire CEOs about how if they give him money, if he gives them millions of dollars, that he will take away all those pesky regulations so that they can do whatever they want. And so I think that is something that not just Joe Biden can underscore, but with Kamala Harris at his side, they can make a real point in how union-friendly, worker-friendly, authentically a Harris-Walz administration will be compared to the horrific worker record that Donald Trump has.
The facts and his record are right in front of their faces. MAGA has been losing so much standard support that usually goes to Republicans that they're left singing the praises of the brainless politicians that are still hanging around, giving their deep analysis based on some just feelings in their bones.
Is there something that can head off the debt crisis that can give, let's assume, a Trump presidency time to work on these things?
Well, we've been doing it for years by just printing more money. Now, one of the interesting revelations of Creature from Jekyll Island is the fact that the Great Depression was pretty well planned. All the big money men were pretty well warned that they were going to finally collapse the system. They had booms and busts. They had to finally just collapse the system, kind of start all over. So pull your money out of the market. And so, again, they're the big and powerful, the Joseph Kennedys of the world, the JP Morgans of the world. They got off scot-free. They got out of the market in time. So, again, I know this. I know it really sounds like conspiracy theory. I don't completely understand it, but it sure seems... It's just in my bones. I just feel there's a great deal of corruption and control there that the vast majority of people do not understand. And again, when you're the few people who do understand and you've got the levers of power, bad things can happen.
Not sure how long Ron Johnson has been floating the belief that the Great Depression was pre-planned by big money men, but I get the feeling he's taken a bunch of money from big money men from all kinds of industries looking to control his politics for years. But this is what an authoritarian leader does to the lemmings that can't fathom how to survive without attaching themselves to him. Whatever he says and does is their new gospel.
Everyone's always talking about these terrible countries to live in, that regime and this or that. But those countries don't have crime like we do, not even close.
Yeah, we should be done being surprised by the different ways regimes that Trump aspires to be like are characterized to seem better than our democracy. In every way possible, he's laying the groundwork to claim that the fascist state that he wants to implement will somehow make citizens' lives better. It's a real test of the sanity of American voters. We've had a constant drumbeat of authoritarian principles to be carried out through violence, and MAGA crowds celebrate it. But they turn around and vow to never allow his Democratic opponents to become fascist dictators based off of absolutely nothing.
Kamala Harris destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California. Now she's destroying America. She will destroy this country. She will destroy this country. And now that people are seeing what's going on, nobody knew who the hell she was, in all fairness. She was vice president that nobody knew. She shouldn't have been vice president. If they call threat to democracy. She's a threat to democracy. The way they call me, threat. I take a bullet in the head, and I'm a threat. No. She's a threat to democracy. Think of it. But she didn't get any votes. He got 14 million votes. She got none. Zero. She was the first one out of 22 people to leave. She left the race because she got no support. And now she's running as the Democrat candidate. And I say that's a threat to democracy. They're the real threat to democracy. They use that. That's just a standard line. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy because he wants to stop crime, These people are very mixed up people. This November, the law-abiding citizens of our country are going to tell her, Kamala, you've done a horrible job. Remember The Apprentice? You couldn't be worse, and we're not going to let you do it again. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here.